Hello, hello. Merry Christmas Eve, right? Yeah. Merry Christmas Eve. I posted the other day about I kind of went to the chiropractor and then got this really what seemed like a channeled idea, which usually things are channeled idea of how to do this reading that hopefully will give us a perspective shift maybe that allows us to either see something in a new way or see something that we weren't seeing or help a certain piece fit into the puzzle that maybe wasn't fitting in before or something like that. That's the intention for this reading. We're going to be looking into, with the Idaho case, the foreground, so what is in the front, what is being focused on, the background, what's going on behind the scenes that we cannot see or that we're not aware of or that we're not seeing in the way that they're seeing behind the scenes, something like that. The center, so what should be the center and what is the energy in that center. So what is this entire case actually revolving around? What is being seen? So this we kind of will know, but it once put in the picture of the whole format, it'll make more sense. And then the unseen, so what we're not seeing, what we're not understanding, what we're not knowing. And then I added one, which is the connector between the seen and the unseen. So that's going to show us how we should be looking at what's unseen based off of what we can see. Something like that. Okay, so we're going to get started. I have a couple different decks that we're going to be incorporating. I want to start by pulling 3 cards for each. So for the foreground, we have the King of Cups, 10 of Wands, and the Queen of Pentacles. Then in the background, we have the 8 of Cups, the 4 of Swords, and the 10 of Swords. In the center, we have the Lovers, the 2 of Pentacles, and the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. For the scene, we have the World in reverse, Page of Cups in reverse, okay, there's no card coming out, and it's because in my head I'm wanting to say that's the card that represented Kaylee in all my other readings, and I wasn't saying it for some reason because I'm trying to not refer back to them, but no cards coming out, so the page has referred to Kaylee in all my other readings. There's the card. Temperance. Now we're going to look at the unseen, and then we're going to do the connector. Justice, unseen. Yeah. The 8 of Swords and the 2 of Swords. And then the connector between the seen and the unseen. Ace of Wands reversed. King of Swords reversed. 10 of Cups. Let's start with the foreground, which we have the Queen of Pentacles, King of Cups, and Ten of Wands. So there is an emotional connection to the picture that's being painted in the foreground of this. Like a not just random act. There's some kind of deeper meaning behind what made this happen. And that's really what's being focused on in the foreground. The Queen of Pentacles is really pointing towards like the focus being on one of the girls, one of the two girls, not Xana, the focus being on Maddie or Kaylee as being the target. Queen here, I think, is really representing Xana was downstairs, Maddie and Kaylee were upstairs. So I really think it's like a literal interpretation of, since we're looking at the foreground, what's being focused on in the foreground, there's an emotional connection to one of the girls that were upstairs. And that's what really caused all of this. That's really what's being focused on. And then we have the Ten of Wands, which is about carrying a heavy burden. So something that one of these girls was dealing with is the cause of this happening. Not blaming them, just saying what the trigger was someone who had emotionally invested themselves or wanted to emotionally invest themselves in one of the girls that were upstairs, because we have the Queen upstairs. And this was something that didn't just start that night, because carrying a heavy burden, it's not one that they just picked up and they're like, oh, let me carry this heavy burden. This is something that kind of had been building up or worsening or increasing in tension for some time. So that message is pretty straightforward, I believe. I want to pull this deck that's really big. I'm going to cut it in half and pull one from each side as we go. I don't want to see them beforehand because I don't want, that's not what I want to be focusing on, but I want to kind of pull them as a clarifier. Thief. Water supply. Yeah, so essentially what that's saying is, what that is saying is, thief is the person who stole their lives, kind of cut everything short for them, stole that time from them because of the heavy burden they were carrying and the emotional connection that they had to one of the girls upstairs. I'm telling you, the knife is in the water, and it's almost like the whole situation paints the picture of the knife being in the water, because things weren't flowing for the killer in a literal sense, in terms of emotions, in terms of progress. Like, things weren't flowing, things were blocked. So it's not that it's like, I don't want to use the word ironic because that's not the right word, but it's very, life kind of shows us signs of things so that we know we're looking in the right direction. So the killer putting the knife in the water at the end of this, for lack of a better word, is ironic, because this all really happened because things weren't flowing. Things were not flowing for him in the way that he wanted it to, which was creating a heavy burden for him to carry. He was emotionally invested, or wanted to be emotionally invested, or had emotions invested in one of the girls upstairs. And that was the grounding of this happening. That was what put it in motion. He stole their lives short. And this guy has like a very, come on, focus. This guy, I don't know. This guy has like a very, there we go. evil, angry look on his face. And also, I want to note that he's dressed up. So we were talking about how the killer was likely out with the girls that night, so that really fits into that. And this kind of gives me creepy guy watching at the bar vibes too, so. And he's holding a, there's a gun. I'm pretty sure he's holding a gun in his hand, which would kind of be like concealing the knife. How I said that the killer was with someone else, probably accidentally, like someone either came up and talked to them or he ran into someone while he had that knife on his person before he did this. Likely it was concealed, but that kind of really points back to that. And then it's like life is showing us the cycle. Like this all happened because there was a lack of flow. I'm telling you, this knife is in the water and it's secured in place. It's not just floating somewhere. Either he tied it to something, or maybe he tied it to the actual dock, or maybe he put it in like a heavy box. I don't think it's so the water can't access it. I don't think it's like a watertight box. There's some way that he made it not be able to float away so he could go back and get it if he gets far enough away from this. That's my opinion. This is all my opinion, by the way. Okay, so now we're moving on to the background. And in the background, we have 8 of Cups, 4 of Swords, and 10 of Swords. So this is in the background. So in the background of this situation, what's being kind of looked into are past relationships that ended. Anything that did not particularly end well. A sense of not being happy with where something was heading or the direction a relationship was going. Not being happy with, essentially in the background, what's being looked into is relationships and how any relationship plays a role in this. It doesn't have to be just romantic relationships. It can be friendships, can be all of that. I'm just going to say it. So these cards are making me feel like the death of the one roommate that was a suicide that happened a while back. I do feel like, since this is the background information, I do feel like that is being particularly looked into right now. Not so much in terms of, how do I say this? I feel like it's being looked into not as like a connection, not like that caused this or anything like that. But they're looking at it in some way that's like, this isn't a full coincidence. Like there's something ongoing occurring that's causing these bad things to happen. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So it's not that they believe that other events are connected to the killings, but in the background, they are looking into what is the environment that these things are brewing in. What kind of people are around that are contributing to this environment that's maybe not causing bad things to happen, but like these bad things are happening in this environment, so it's being looked into in some way. There's like a sense of doing things that are maybe being done for stimulation or like to cure boredom, I guess you could say. Let me pull a card to see if I should say this. 1 second, please. Queen of Wands, okay. So I believe that they are looking into the role that drugs are playing in the environment and in the events possibly surrounding the murders. I do not believe that this was drug related, that this happened. I don't believe it. Based off of the readings that I've done. But in the background, they're looking into what role the surrounding community played based off of that element of drugs. I am feeling like they're not looking into drugs as being a problem with the 4 roommates that passed. That's not what I'm saying. I'm feeling like they're trying to look into... Queen of Wands came out. So they're looking into the killer and what, like, they believe that the killer did drugs or was on drugs at this time, or sells or has some kind of connection. Especially with the King of Cups coming out in the foreground, I don't believe that they believe this is drug related either, but like the murders, sorry if you hear that, it's like downpouring outside. It's downpouring outside. Huh. Yeah. Okay, so it downpouring outside right now is what it's saying in my mind is that they're looking into the heavy drug. I hope you can hear that on the camera when I play this back, because it just got crazy when I started saying that. They're looking into the town and community in general and the drug use that's going on around the community. Because it's very prevalent, like a downpour. Almost like they discovered something and then it just opened the door to like discovering a bunch of other things. So I believe that in the background, the police and investigators are really looking into the killer being connected to the drug community. Not that this was a drug-related crime. I believe it was a rejection-related crime. But that doesn't mean that the killer can't still be into some drug stuff and they can use that to try and either get dirt on him, get clues, get proof, something. But I do believe that that's really being looked into in the background. Again, please don't take this the wrong way, because I'm not saying that this was a drug deal going bad. Please don't say, oh, she thinks it's a drug deal going bad. That's not what I'm saying. I still believe that this is a rejection or passion or something like that related. With a mix of some other elements, it's not just that. But I can't really get too far into that yet. But I do believe, excuse me, I do believe that on the killer's end of things, in the background, drugs are involved. On the killer's end. Going to pull these. Money. Royalty. So, oh wait, I meant to pull from this side too. Let me see what we get. Pull one more. Timeline issue. You know what it might be? Timeline issue, royalty, and money. Oh, I don't know if I should say this because I don't want it to mess anything up in the investigation. Let me run this through my head really quick. Okay, so I feel like in the background, they're looking into the possibility that the person who did this is a drug dealer or a drug runner. And maybe they're using, hey, I know that you did like going to people who could potentially be witnesses for the whereabouts of the killer that night. It's possible that they're going to these people and saying like, hey, we know you bought drugs or something, but we need to know what time you met with this person. You're not going to get in trouble, but we're trying to put an alibi together for this person, or trying to check an alibi. I feel like something like that is going on in the background right now. It's like they're trying to maybe they're trying to prove that he wasn't with his phone. How I said that I feel like he left his phone somewhere. That could be it. Or they could just be trying to poke holes in someone's whereabouts so that they kind of back them into a corner. Like, oh, you saw this person at this time and this person at this time. Which would mean that they're probably pretty close to the right person. All right, let's keep going. Next, we have the center, which is the Lovers, the Two of Pentacles, and the reversed Wheel of Swords. So in the center, obviously we know that something took a bad turn and there was, you know, something bad happened. In the center of this, though, is the Lover's card. So while that's not always just about romance and love, it's also about choice, especially with the Two of Pentacles, which is also about choices and kind of weighing multiple things at once. Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So it's like this person wasn't chosen and it caused everything to take a bad turn. And this is at the center. There is, again, we go back with the emotional connection because we have the Lovers and we also had the King of Cups earlier. And notice how we had the Page of Cups down there. So we have the Queen of Pentacles, which is like an earthly energy. It's like not as in tune with emotions as a Cup card or the Lover's card. So that's the feminine energy. And then we have the Lover's card in the center of this, which is like a flow of emotions. And then we have the King of Cups, which is also a flow of emotions. From like a masculine energy, doesn't have to be, but in this case it is. And in this particular card, the man is like lifting her up off her feet. And he has angel's wings and she does not on this particular card. So it's like this person wanted to be the savior. This person wanted to go in and swoop her off her feet and he wasn't chosen. And he couldn't see another option because we have the Two of Pentacles, which we had the Queen of Pentacles. So it's like he couldn't see another option past that rejection, past that not getting a chance or not being able to advance a friendship, whatever it was. And it just turned everything around. I'm feeling like I need to pull one of these for this. I'm gonna pull two. Okay, so I'm feeling like with these, we're gonna ignore the top words because that's not it at all. It says victim didn't know killer and killer may currently be in prison for another crime. I don't believe either one of them. So we're gonna ignore the top part, but we are being shown these pictures. And that is what we're supposed to be looking at. I'm telling you, I'm 100% positive about it. Because that is their sliding glass door and this person going in. This is this person looking in the window beforehand. So this person definitely was watching them, because we're looking at the center of this. So this person was definitely watching them and chose to enter through that sliding glass door because of wanting that connection or chance or something, wanting something, not being chosen, and everything taking a bad turn. He went from watching on the outside to saying, you know what, I'm gonna go in. And that's the center of the investigation. Now we're looking at, hold on one second. Now we're looking at the scene, and for the scene, like what we can see, we have Temperance, Page of Cups reversed, and the World reversed. So Page of Cups reversed is really saying to me that even though the girls were drunk that night, it wasn't that they were unaware. This is like really confirmation of that to me. Like their spidey senses were telling them, you know, something's not right or someone's not right. But this card is making me feel like when met face to face with this person, they never could have seen it coming, but if it was going to come from anyone that night, they weren't surprised that it was him. I guess you could put it that way. Again, they couldn't have seen this coming. Never in a million years. But like, because it happened and when they were face to face with this person, they were not shocked. Like that it was this person. They were shocked it was happening, but if it was going to be happening anyway, and it had to be someone, that's what I'm saying. The World in reverse is making me feel like they really thought that they had handled the situation or that the situation was over. There wasn't going to be any continued problems from it, or just maybe that they, yeah, no, that's what I'm getting. They didn't, it has something to do with that conversation with Adam. Because Temperance is about like kind of rising above the situation. Like it has something to do with that conversation. Because the girls, with the World reversed, the girls thought, okay, that's going to be in the past now. We can move past it now. The Page of Cups is kind of about the spilling out of whatever Maddie was holding inside internally that she had said to Adam. That spilled out about Kaylee because the page has been representing Kaylee. So Maddie spilled out whatever she spilled out about Kaylee. And from that, they thought this situation was going to be past them. They thought they figured out a way to rise above the situation. And then that's what's being seen. Which, wow, which really is very telling because that video just came out of the girls having that conversation. I know the parents have had it for a while, but like it just came out to the public. So in terms of seen, I feel like that is what's being seen right now. That's what's being literally seen and really focused on. And that's kind of the turning point in this. I'm telling you that. And maybe it was that Adam didn't even realize that information was the catalyst in this. but he knows now. I know he's been cleared. I know he's been looked into. But and I'm not saying that he intentionally did anything in terms of being malicious with the information, but that information is a key in this. That's what I'm saying. My opinion, but a very strong opinion, based off of multiple readings in which the energies matched each other. That is my opinion. Now we're, oh wait, we have to pull these for the scene. Breakup by, with lipstick written on a bathroom mirror, or on a mirror. But remember I said, oh, we're going backwards. Oh. Because we started with the water supply, but we're going backwards, so that's the end. We're going backwards through the night. Yeah, because this is when he went from watching them to going in. And then we have the timeline issue with the Ten of Swords in that pile. So that's about the actual killings. And then after the killings, the water supply. He threw the knife in the water. We're going backwards through the night. So we started at the end of the night. So now we are to before when he entered the house, which checks out. Before he entered the house would be when the girls were walking and had that conversation, because it was before it happened. And it was something that was about Kaylee that Maddie had spilled out, poured the cup upside down, spilled out. Also, cup at the bar, okay? It goes hand in hand. They thought that they brought an end to the situation by finding a way to rise above it. And then instead of it going that way, you have this guy coming in the sliding glass door. Breakup. One more card. Female. So we have breakup and female. Was one of their necks, what's really catching my attention is this necklace. I don't know why yet. Maybe I'll know why in a little bit. All right, so now we have, let's go to what's unseen. In the unseen, we have Justice, which is obvious. The Eight of Swords and the Two of Swords. So what is unseen what is unseen is what we kind of already had a hunch that is unseen. There's a difficult decision that they're trying to make in terms of justice, and that difficult decision is something to do with being trapped. So somebody feels very hesitant to go through with the next steps of whatever happens with the guilty person. Because of this connection that they have. Or this money that they have. But somebody feels either hesitant to make that first move, or they're just trying to really make sure that they have all of their ducks in a row, all of their I's dotted, T's crossed before justice takes that next step forward. This is what's unseen, and it really is. It's like I do feel like they either know who it, I feel like they know who it is, and they're either making sure they get enough information to make sure that there's 100% a conviction because of the bridges that it would burn if that person was to go to trial and not get convicted. Because then whoever has that power can kind of use it against them. Like, oh, look, you didn't get a conviction. Like, and you ruined my name because of this, or blah, 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 blah. That, or it's possible that maybe they do have everything pretty much, but maybe they're waiting until, okay, for some reason these cards are giving me the image of buying time. It could be possible that that motherly figure is planning on giving them something, or turning the person in after the holidays. I know that sounds like, oh, that's privilege, but that's what we're working with here, is some kind of privilege. But there's some kind of decision that is working on being made, and it has to do with somebody feeling like they're trapped. In regard to justice coming into play. Somebody feels like they don't have it. There's a connection from the killer to somebody else, and severing that line, like once the killer is named, it's going to put that killer's connection into a very bad light, especially because how everything kind of unfolded and how everyone's saying, you know, if you're this person's parent, it should be obvious. Like, why are you not turning them in? Kind of that. Well, once they are turned in, they're going to be experiencing that. Like, how did you not know? Why would you not turn them in? Why did you make the whole country go absolutely, like, so devastated over this for so long? Like, why would you not turn this person in? They're going to feel all of that. I almost feel like they're buying time until after the holidays because of that person in power asking them to, and kind of saying this person won't go anywhere. But I think that the real reason that they're buying time in their mind is because they're planning on leaving. Yeah, because we have the Eight of Swords and the Two of Swords, and they both have like bodies of water in the background. I feel like I did say in my other reading that I felt like there's a feminine energy that's going to turn on the killer eventually. If it's not a mom, it's another feminine energy. They're buying time. They're buying time, and they might not realize they're buying time for it, but the purpose behind whoever is getting them to buy time is because they're planning on leaving the country. They're not going to stay around for the scrutiny. Now we go into this connector between the seen and the unseen. Oh, the Ten of Cups here. The Family card. And it's a woman handing the baby over to the man. And the King of Swords in reverse is in that pile. That's the killer. And the Ace of Wands in reverse is about really pointing to the element of buying time here. It's about a false start or kind of blocking a path temporarily. Hesitancy. And then the King of Swords also brings in, reverse, brings in the element of abusing your power. And then the Ten of Cups is the connector to the family. This person's mom is going to turn them in and then leave the country. Because the parent's not going to get in trouble because somebody is helping them to buy time. My opinion. Somebody's helping them to buy time, either willingly and knowingly, or blackmailed, or forced into a corner. Some way, somehow. It may even be unknowingly. They may be, I don't know. I forgot to pull these cards for the unseen. So we're going to pull them for the unseen. Water. Cards connect too, because this is the body of water and there's a fountain right there, and this is the hand reaching out. This is the water reaching out. This is the hand reaching out for help. This is the help flowing. Now we're going to pull cards for the connector one. You know why they're so angry at the public for looking into this so much? They're using it as a smokescreen. They're purposely I don't want to say they're purposely hyping it up, but they're purposely somehow using it to their advantage in some way. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry. And then the other card with natural disaster. Marriage and a wedding. I believe that the killer's mom is going to turn them in, but the dad is not on board with doing that. I don't know if both of them are going to leave the country or if just she is, but there's time being bought. Either time to get more evidence or just getting past the holidays, I'm not sure. But yeah, we just went back and we started and ended both with water. Oh, we started and we ended like when justice will come. It's going to come because whoever is trapped is going to find a way to release themselves from this and be able to go after the right person. They have a difficult choice to make because it's burning a bridge. someone's abusing their power and helping someone who's drowning. When justice is served, it's going to be because someone in the person's family turns them in, and they're buying time right now before that happens. They're trying to use the public looking into this so much as at least a partial scapegoat in some way. I don't believe that the father is on board with turning in the person. I think it's just the mother, or it could be a sister, aunt. I don't think it's mother. This all happened when they were at the bar. It started because Maddie spilled out this information or conversation that had something to do about Kaylee, thinking that she was ending whatever uncomfortable situation this was, rising above it, ending it, rejection, which actually caused, you know, and then we have the killer was watching them, wanting something to happen. It didn't go the way he wanted it to. He had a choice to make, and he chose to go inside and do what he did. They're looking into the connection between that and what else the killer has going on in their life that could have that could connect them to this in a solid way, or that they could get information about backing him into a corner somehow. But that definitely plays a role, because I believe they're going to try and use the angle of, we know that drugs made you do this, or we know that stress caused you to do this, like in that when they have him in the room and are trying to get him to open up. I don't know if the killer will claim insanity based off of drug use, but I don't feel like this is someone who it's like widely known that they use drugs. I think it's more hush hush, or they could just be a dealer. There's some element that has something to do with the killer, but it's not the reason for the killings. But this person was unable to move past this rejection. And that's why he was unable to carry this heavy burden, because he was too emotionally invested in something that wasn't going his way. So he decided to steal the lives of at least the one girl that was upstairs, not knowing he was going to run to the other ones, or maybe partially knowing, or maybe knowing. Who knows? I don't think he knew. I think he was expecting one, maybe two. And now that knife is in the water somewhere that's not floating around in bodies of water. It's somewhere where he can go back and get it if he gets far enough away from this falling on him. I want to do a little bit more, but my son is going to be home any minute. He has a half day, so I'm going to stop this now and post it, and then I'm going to try my best to do another one either tomorrow or Saturday, because this was like a little early one. I just had a little bit extra time. So I do have more that I want to address, but this was really deep in my mind, and I wanted to kind of get it out of the way. So I'm going to stop this one now, post it, and then I will be back either tomorrow or Saturday.